All right, let's take a journey back in time and then rocket into the future. We're going to trace how online personalization went from, well, pretty basic rules to the kind of AI that feels like it's reading our minds. So, how did the web get so good at knowing exactly what we want, sometimes even before we do? Let's dive in and find out.
You know the feeling, right? You just think about needing new running shoes, and bam! Suddenly, every ad on every single site you visit is for the newest sneaker release. It's not magic, and it's definitely not a coincidence. It's technology, and the story of how it got this smart, well, it reveals a whole lot about our digital world.
So, let's do exactly that. Let's pull back that curtain. We're going to get a look at the machinery humming away behind the screen so we can really understand how we got here. And maybe, just maybe, get a glimpse of where this incredibly powerful technology is headed next.
Okay, so before the internet could think, it had to follow instructions. Very, very simple instructions. The first wave of personalization wasn't smart at all. It was built on these straightforward rules. Think of it like a digital checklist.
This whole approach was called rule-based personalization. A marketer would literally sit down and write out the rules for a website or an email campaign. It was a completely manual process that relied on some pretty basic logic to create a slightly more targeted experience for you, the user. And here's what that logic looked like in the real world. It was all based on simple if-then statements. If a user is a male between 18 and 25, then show them an ad for sneakers. Or, if a user visits the pricing page 2 times, then automatically send them an email with a discount. It was a decent first step, for sure, but it had some really serious limitations. Yeah, as you can probably guess, as the internet just exploded in size and complexity, it became super clear that this simple, manual way of doing things just couldn't keep up. The rulebook was getting way too big and way too complicated for anyone to manage. And this is where things really started to fall apart. The rules were just too rigid. They treated people like static categories, not like real, changing individuals. The system couldn't understand your intent, and it definitely couldn't scale. For every single new product or new type of customer, a human had to write more rules until the whole thing just became this unmanageable digital knot. So what was the answer? It wasn't just writing more rules or hiring more marketers. The solution was a fundamentally new technology, artificial intelligence. And this changed everything. I mean, just look at the difference here. This was the leap from a static, dumb rulebook to a dynamic, learning brain. Instead of needing manual updates, the system could now learn all by itself, continuously. It stopped just looking at surface-level stuff like your age and started understanding the tiny nuances of your behavior. This wasn't just an upgrade, it was a completely new way of thinking. Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? But how does it actually work? What is the AI doing that a person with a rulebook just can't? Let's break down the core pieces.
First off, it starts by seeing things that we can't. AI algorithms can analyze just massive amounts of data to spot these tiny microsignals in our behavior. Things like how fast you scroll down a page, where your mouse hovers for a split second, or the exact sequence of products you click on. These are really subtle clues, totally invisible to a human, but they tell the AI a ton about what you're really looking for.
But here's the thing. Just spotting patterns isn't enough. Real intelligence needs context. So the AI doesn't just know what you're doing, it knows where you are, what time it is, and can even check the weather outside. A coffee chain, for example, can use this to automatically show you an ad for an iced latte on a hot afternoon or a warm cappuccino on a cold morning, all without anyone lifting a finger. And when you combine those behavioral patterns with that real-world context, something incredible happens. This is where it really starts to feel like mind reading. The system stops just reacting to what you've done and starts predicting what you'll want or need next. It's basically offering you a solution before you've even thought to search for it. And this predictive power, it isn't a one-and-done thing. The system is always learning. Every single click, every purchase, every moment you hesitate, that's another piece of data that feeds back into the model, constantly making its understanding of you just a little bit smarter, a little more accurate. And the crazy part? All of this, the pattern spotting, the context, the predictions, the learning, it all happens in the blink of an eye. Websites, ads, and emails can all adjust in real time for millions of different people all at once. This is what finally made true one-to-one personalization possible at a massive scale. So what's the end result of all this incredible tech? Well, it means a business can finally have a relevant, timely, and personal conversation with millions of customers at the same time.
It's not just about better marketing. It's about building a system that can adapt and evolve right alongside its customers so it's always ready for what's next.
You see this stuff everywhere, every single day. When Amazon recommends that perfect product you didn't even know you needed, that's AI. When an email subject line seems like it was written just for you, yep, that's AI too. And even when you're talking to a customer support chatbot that seems to adjust its tone based on how frustrated you are, that is AI-driven personalization at work.
But as powerful and as mind-blowing as these systems are today, believe it or not, this is really just the beginning. So where does it go from here? What's next on the horizon for this kind of mind-reading AI?
Okay, so right now, we're living in the age of predictive analytics, but just around the corner, we're moving toward generative AI that can create entire custom stories just for us. Then, further out, we're going to see emotionally intelligent systems that can actually respond with empathy. And the ultimate endgame? Seamless orchestration, where your personalized experience just flows perfectly across every single app, website, and even in-store interaction you have with a brand.
And that really brings us to this final, crucial idea. The end goal here isn't just to get better at targeting people with ads, it's to use this technology to create a genuine, ongoing conversation between a brand and a customer. It's a huge shift from a monologue to a real dialogue. So the question we're left with is this. As this dialogue gets smarter and more personal, how do we make sure it stays helpful and respectful without crossing that line? That is the challenge and the opportunity for the next decade.